Alright, so in a set of data, the standard deviation, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Standard deviation shows how the data deviates from the mean. So it shows how much it's different from the mean. Alright. And low standard deviation indicates that the data is very close to the mean. High standard deviation means it's spread out. So if we're talking about test scores, if we have a low standard deviation, that means that everybody's pretty close to the middle. So everybody's all together. But if it's high deviation, it means it's spread out, not consistent. Alright, the standard deviation is represented by the lowercase Greek letter sigma. And this is how you're going to write it. Just like that. So it kind of looks like an R, but that stands for standard deviation. Alright, and the variance, and I want you to put this in parentheses, this is how we write the variance. Same thing except squared. Is a measure of how far each value in the data set is from the mean. And the variance is found, all you have to do is square the standard deviation. Alright, and this is how we're going to find the standard deviation. There is 5 steps. The first one, we find the mean. The mean is just the what? Average, good. Then we're going to find the square of the difference between each data set. So remember when we were taking yesterday and we did like, right here we found the mean, say it was 20, and we did 100 minus 20, 0 minus 20, so and so. We're going to do the same thing except this time we're going to square it. Okay? Then we're going to add them all together and divide by n. And then once we do all that, we're going to take the square root of our answer. And I'll show you how to do that on your calculator. So for example 1, Austin, if you'll read that for me.
Leo checked his homework score for the past week. You want me to read the numbers?
No.
Find and interpret the standard deviation of the data set.
Alright, so if these were his homework scores, some of them look like y'all's. Let's go ahead and find the mean first. So we would add these all up and divide by what? Go ahead and do that on your own, and then you can say it out loud whenever you find it. Good. And remember, X with a bar over it stands for the mean. Alright, so after we find that, we are going to find the difference between each of these data values and 50. And we don't need a calculator for that. It's pretty easy, right? What's the difference between 100 and 50?
50.
Alright, then I want you to put 50 squared. What's the difference between 0 and 50?
50.
So 50 squared. What's the difference between 100 and 50?
50.
So 50 squared. What's the difference between 50 and 50?
No.
0. And what's the difference between 0 and 50?
50.
50. And we are going to divide all of that by what? 5. Now, if you're using a calculator, I'll show you how to type this in the easiest way. And I'll show it under here. Alright. Let me zoom out. So, the easiest way to type it in is just do it all together. Put parentheses if you can. And then 50 squared plus 50. And then the squared button's right here if you're wondering. Right here. Squared plus 50 squared. Do I have to type in 0 squared? Alright, so plus 50 squared. And then close your parentheses. And then put divided by 5. Hit enter. Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
Alright, try to type it in again. Yeah. If you need help with your calculator, just raise your hand. I'll come get you. You'll have to put 2 parentheses, and it won't show up, but 50, and then hit this button.
We're supposed to get 5, 2,000.
And then do it again.
Yes.
And then 50 squared again. And keep going 2 more times, Leva. Anybody else need help on their calculator? Okay. Alright, then once we get 2,000, let me write it over here. We're going to take the square root of it. And I'll show you how to type it in the calculator. So, the square root button is, see this little square root and it's in yellow right here? Everybody see that on the calculator? If you don't, I'll come help you. But anyways, you're going to have to hit this yellow button up here second, and then that square root button. So everybody got that part? And then type in 2,000, enter. And that's what you should get. So anybody don't know how to type in the square root on their calculator, just raise your hand, I'll come show you.
Is that the answer?
Yes, give me a second. Anybody else need to know how to on their calculator? Okay. Alright, and let's round this to the nearest hundredth. So this will be what? Very good. And we're going to put equals sigma. And what did we just find? What's it called? Standard deviation. Good. Now let's find the variance. No. This is the standard deviation. And then remember in the notes it says to find the variance, you just square the standard deviation. So what was this before we took the square root?
2,000.
Good. So the variance is 2,000. And that's how we would write it. Notice how the standard deviation is 44.72. That's very large. That's very large for a standard deviation. So what this is saying is that Leo's homework scores are very inconsistent. And you can see they are. One week he might turn in all of his homework. One week it's nothing. One week it's half. Yes.
So do you have to write both of them?
Yes, you'll need to write both of them. On the quiz tomorrow, I'll just ask you to find the standard deviation.
So the bottom's the standard and what's the top one?
The top is called variance.
Do we have the
What now?
do we have the formula?
Yeah, I'll put them up on the board. Alright, Alonde, read example 2 for me.
The scores that Jenny received from the judges. Did I say that?
Nope.
Find and interpret the standard deviation of the deficit.
Alright, first thing we have to do is find the what?
Mean.
Good, go ahead and find that on your own. And I'll give you time to do that. What'd you get? Try that again. You gotta divide it by...
5.62.
Good, let's round it to the nearest tenth.
5.60. 5.6.
Good. Is everybody able to get that? What did y'all divide it by?
8.
Good, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data values. Alright, y'all want me to show you a shortcut in finding this part?
Yes.
Okay, you can just type all this in on your calculator. Let me show you, so stay with me. Alright, it doesn't matter what number you type first when we're finding subtracting, because anything you square, think about this, if you square a -2, you're going to get what? +4. If you square a +2, you're going to get +4, right? Same thing. So it doesn't matter which number you type first. So go ahead and type in your parentheses. And then we'll do 6, the first data set, minus our mean, which is what? 5.6. Close your parentheses, and then put a squared on the outside. Anybody have questions about that part? Alright, now do the next one. Plus, what's the next data value? Minus. Good. Close it, square it. Keep going with the rest of them. And I'll keep going as well. Did everybody get .88? Okay, keep going. Make sure you can get .88. The only thing is, typing all this in, you got to make sure that you don't make any errors, right? Because it'll mess up your answer. Did everybody get .88? Now we need to divide this by what?
I got 2.2.
Yeah, you typed something in wrong. Divided by 8. Good. So you should get .11. Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
Yes? No? Alright, the last thing we have to do is do what with this? Square root. So second square root of .11. And you should get 0.33. So what would be our variance? 0.11. Good job. Before you square it would be your variance. Questions? Do y'all like it better doing it in your calculator like this, or do y'all like writing it out better like this? Okay, that's fine. We can do that for the next one. Alright. This means what? Look at her standard deviation, how small it is. What do you think that means?
Small.
She's consistent, right? She consistently gets the same scores, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Depending on what the scores are. Alright. Levi, if you'll read example 3 for me. You don't have to read the numbers.
Ed surveys his classmates to find out how many electronic gadgets each person has in their home. Find and interpret the standard deviation of said data.
Okay. Go ahead and find the mean on your own first, and then we'll compare our answers. Actually, just raise your hand, and I'll give somebody a piece of candy if they can tell me.
So you can eat.
Yes. Y'all already got it? Alright, Jabari, what'd you get? Good.
Also, the person. You're awesome.
Did I say the first one? Any questions about how to find the average?
How'd you get 9?
You add all these up together, and then you'd have to divide by what? What? 15. Good, because there's 15 numbers. Alright, we'll write it out this time, and this one's not going to be hard because the numbers are kind of close together. So what's the difference between 9 and 9? Do I have to write it? What's the difference between 9 and 10? So 1 squared. What's the difference between 9 and 11? So 2 squared. 9 and 6. Next. Good. Next. Next. So next. Good. Next. 2 squared. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and mark out the ones we've done. Alright, go ahead. 1 squared. What else? 2 squared. 2 squared. 2 squared. 4 squared. All over what? 15. Good. Alright, go ahead and find that on your own. One person can raise their hand and tell me what you get. Not when you take the square root, just this part, okay? I'll call on somebody in just a second. And round to the nearest 100 when you tell me the answer. The nearest 100. Alright, Caitlin, what'd you get? Good. 3.47. Everybody else get that? Keep it there.
I got 1.67.
Yeah, variance square.
Oh. Okay.
Any questions? Alright, then what would be the square root of 3.47?
1.8.
Good. So our standard deviation is 1.86. And our variance would be what?
3.47.
Good. Good job. Questions?
No.
Alright, for example 4 and 5, you're going to work them on your own. Do example 4 right now, and I'm going to call on one person to tell me all 3 answers. I'll need the mean, standard deviation, variance. If you get all 3 correct, you can draw out the box. Let me know if you need help.
You okay, Miss Will? You feeling okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, so nice.
I'm always nice.
It's not